So we're going and go on our night commute on this Bafang Ultra bike. So let's go ahead and do it. There's actually an Aostirmotor S17 that has a Bafang Ultra motor on it. We're gonna go and just take the street, not the street, but the sidewalk this time around. All right. Now the problem I figured out with the speed being off and stuff like that is actually due to the reel size being too small on this bike. So the only way I can fix that and to fix the speed limit is to get a programming cable. But since this is a newer motor and it uses the CAN bus, you gotta use a special $60 cable that pretty much hooks onto the display and also hooks onto the display power, and the other end goes back into the display while the other end goes to the USB. And you push a series of buttons to unlock, you know, the reel size and also the actual speed for the motor in this programming device pretty much. So I'm gonna go and try it out. I gotta order it on Amazon, and when I do it, I'll do a separate video for those that are interested in doing it that has this particular motor. It's an M620 Ultra, but it's the CAN bus version. The one before 2021 was UART, so there's a difference in the way you'll notice the connector. It kind of looks like a house almost. It has the end on it, which has for the, what do you call it, for the CAN bus, and then the regular one's just a circle pretty much. So that's how you know the difference. And plus then the motor's gonna be manufactured after 2021 is gonna be the CAN bus, and the one before that could be a mix of UART or CAN bus. Just depends on which one you get. But we're going to try it out, see how it works, and see if we can do that. As far as the speed issue going in and out, I gotta go ahead and realign that sensor, of course, and that hopefully will fix that issue. And we'll go ahead and take some of the sidewalk just so I can show you what's down here pretty much, because I take the street all the time. Something a little bit different at least. I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'll show you how to actually align the sensor too and stuff like that, and troubleshoot it pretty much. And you also want to check the cable too, obviously. If it's a VBS HD, you got the connector that plugs into the end of the cable and stuff like that. Sometimes that gets corroded, and that also causes the issue too, the intermittent issue with the speed going in and out. In this case here, it's not the problem, it's just due to the actual, what do you call it, sensor being kind of off a little bit, where when the wheel rotates it goes farther away sometimes, and that's what causes the speed to go in and out. The one problem I would like to fix, if anyone knows how to fix it, is also the actual where you push the brake cutoff, and then like right now, let me see what I'll do, it's not doing it now, but where you push the brake lever and that the cutout cuts off for whatever reason. I'd actually like to know how to fix that. If anyone knows how to, I appreciate you kind of at least directing me how to, so that way then, you know, I can actually fix that. But we're going to take the street a little bit all the way till light changes, so, and get some room, of course, because this bike is not as fast as the other one, so this one will not keep up with the traffic pretty much. So I'll just wait till the light changes. Well, there's no car, so I'll just go for it. We'll go do some pedaling. We'll see if it goes even really fast. Okay, and there you go. I'll just go ahead and take the street over here. We have to do some pedaling here. which is normal because when you're going uphill, you know, obviously the motors have to work harder. It's good to help it, to help you maintain at least the speed it's going. So there you go. The reason why I kind of like this bike too, because other thing too is when you pedal at lower speeds, like with hub motors for example, you know, it gives you all the power of the motor, so you don't feel like you're actually putting any work in because the motor's just putting all it can on even the lower speeds and stuff. With these mid-drives, they have torque sensing, so let's go and make sure that we're clear. So it actually adjusts based on how hard you pedal, which is really nice because it gives you a nice natural feel, because then the torque sense is only, what do you call it, allowing as much motor power as hard as you pedal instead of just throwing all the motor power onto it. It goes by how hard pedal, so I can pedal real softly for example. Okay, you know, I could do real softly, it'll only put enough power and you actually feel the resistance like you're actually pedaling. You know what I mean? Where we got hub mode in the PAS levels and stuff, if you're real low, yeah, it helps, but if you go to the higher PAS levels, it puts all the power to the motor and it just feels like you're just gonna take off, but it doesn't actually put, you know, the problem is it puts too much power. You know what I mean? When it puts too much power, like right now I'm pedaling, you know what I mean? It's just putting just enough that I need to, even though I'm on the higher PAS level, which is really nice because it gives you a more natural feel to it and you're actually helping the motor instead of just the motor doing all the work. So you kind of can get a workout with mid-drives, which is really nice. Now, not all mid-drives have torque sensing. It's only like the Ultra, like them 620 and certain motors that actually have torque sensing. Not all the time are they proud too, because it depends on your crank size and everything. That would determine, you know, how well the torque sensing actually works. Now, one thing I noticed on this though, if you take off with it, you know, with pedal assist, it's gonna automatically throw power to it, which is actually normal because it's like if you get on the bike, for example, you're gonna have to pedal in the power position where you put your foot down and give it that initial power to get you going. That's kind of what this does too. Now, once you do that and you just start pedaling naturally, it'll actually just give you amount of power depending on how hard you're actually pushing the pedal, and I love that. You know, it works really, really well actually, which I'm shocked it works better than what I expected it to. Yeah, definitely way better than a hub drive cadence sensor, where a cadence sensor, you turn it, it either gives the motor too little power or too much power. And I really don't like that, you know what I mean, huh? Because it doesn't feel like you're really doing any work, or it feels like you gotta do too much work, like when you're going uphill and stuff, because it's not actually putting the proper power to it, you know, huh? That's one of the things I like about mid-drives pretty much. Don't go by the speed on the display because it's massively inaccurate. You know what I mean? Because it's set to 26 inch because the 3-inch fat tire actually needs to be set just a little bit higher, so it could be 2-3 miles higher than what it's actually supposed to be and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's how you set, you know, the speed, you know, the real size when you're actually doing on, like, depending on the real size you're using fat tires. Like for example, if you go 4-inch fat tire, then you want to set the real size to 29 to get the speed sort of accurate to what a GPS speedometer would be and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing even with this too. Like a 3-inch, you want to set to 27 inches. Now if it allows you to set the you know, length, then you set to 21,700 if it's a 3-inch, you know, if it's in millimeters and stuff like that. And then that will give you pretty much dead on accurate speedo, pretty much. No, I don't mind. I gotta get the ProAir cable because unfortunately I can't set the actual spiel size on this display because it's in the information, because it's a CAN bus version, and it don't allow me to take off the speed limit either because of that. You know what I mean? Because it's set in there, it's hard coded to the controller, and display is just acting as a slave pretty much. So once I get that cable from Amazon, then that'll allow me to change those two parameters, and this bike will hopefully perform a little bit better. Now if I really wanted to get it perform, then I'll just dump a 52 volt battery in there and stuff. I'm not sure the controller will be able to actually say. I might have to upgrade the controller and stuff, but I'm kind of happy with the way it is, actually, to be honest with you, because it rides nice as a bike, and that's what I want. I don't want this one to ride like a motorbike, you know what I mean? I got a powerful bike, you know, 5,000 watt just for that reason only, so I don't need two bikes going super fast. Yeah, I could add the phase running controller all that and make this very powerful, but at the same time too, I don't want to make it that powerful. I want to keep this like as a regular bike pretty much, so I can take it on the trails and so forth. Here we go, we're coming up to the next trail pretty much. I just kind of like the way this thing handles and stuff because it's very nimble, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Wait to turn because he got to turn, so he got to wire away. Huh? Here you go. See? That's what I like. I went ahead and pushed the pedal on. It just gave me just enough power. It doesn't dump all the power into the motor once you actually get it started, which is nice. That's what you want. So if you want to creep up just a little bit, you can. You know what I mean? Where other motors, you know, it gives you too much power when you're on cadence. The pedaling doesn't really work in mine, so it's not pedal at all pretty much. And then the nice thing about the thumb throttle, like I said, is you get not only more control, because you can just vary it just by pushing your thumb and stuff. It's a lot easier than trying to turn a twist throttle, but it doesn't give you that numbness or that, you know, feeling after holding it for a little bit if you're using just throttle only. Huh? Now let's just jump this here, because this does do off-road, so you know it can handle curves pretty much. I take this thing a lot of times off-roading. It's done pretty good. This one I'm not as scared of because it handles actually really nicely. You know, you can do a lot with this. That's why I want to keep it kind of the way it is, because it handles is really nice and smooth, and you can do a lot of maneuvers where I wouldn't do the necessary of other bikes because I don't trust it. This one I kind of do because it just rides really nice and nimble, and it's light. So I could do a lot of more maneuvers on this one than I can on, let's say, something that's a little bit more awkward or something. You know, being the fact it's full suspension, you don't actually feel the bumps and everything else like you do on a hardtail, for example, and stuff like that. And that's why I like this S17 frame, which is what this bike is. It's pretty much a Aostirmotor S17 model, but instead of having the hub drive, it has the mid-drive, and honestly I think it complements it very well. I mean, it handles really, really good, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for the speed issue, this bike would actually be almost perfect, you know, huh? Because the brakes work pretty good. I could just two-finger it, you know what I mean? And I've been using these brakes for a while. I already have 174 miles on it, on the same pads and everything like that, without having to bleed them or anything like that. And it does real good. Like some brakes, if you do the cheaper brakes, what will happen is you'll find that the handle loses pressure over time, and that you have to push harder with 3 fingers instead to get the full stop and so forth, and constantly keep bleeding them and changing the brake pads. It's not the case with these. These handle actually really, really good. Like I can 2-finger it and it stops for me. Like I can lock up the reels and everything if I wanted to with just 2 fingers, and that's nice. You know, and I put some miles on it already. The brake pads are barely worn either. There's still a lot of meat on the pads and stuff. Oh great, my headlight battery I guess is getting low, so I'm gonna have to charge the Garmin stuff when I get home. It's already giving me the low battery warning on it. That's the thing about these Garmin lights, because it's such high lumens, it draws the battery power If you have it on high setting, in about an hour and a half. If you have it on the medium or low setting, then you can get about a good 4 or 6 hours out of it. And, you know, I've been using this bike a lot, so I'm not surprised that the battery's actually dead, you know what I mean? Like I said, in the next videos I'm going to go over how to program and do a lot of stuff on e-bikes, so you definitely want to follow through, because I'm going to go into detail, not like what others kind of do. I'm actually going to show you how to fix and replace like phase wires, how to build a battery from scratch, you know what I mean, what case to select, how to determine the configuration you're going to use and stuff like that, and everything else. You know, this guy would just go. But you know, I'm gonna show you a lot of stuff pretty much, and I'm gonna show you common issues too with them and certain e-bikes and stuff like that. And if I come across any Chinese bikes that I buy, I'm gonna also go over common issues, what you have to do to overlook it, because not just Chinese box, but any box you buy out of a box, you're gonna have to tune it. Like, make sure you adjust the brake calipers to where they're centered, and at the toes I actually got a tool that I use that I stick in between the brake pads, so it lines it perfectly, and then that way it's always centered, and it's not just centered on top, it's also centered toe wise, so that way it doesn't wear the pad unevenly and you don't get the squeak noise and stuff like that over time. And I'm gonna tell you some few tricks and tips on that. Right now we're getting close to the end of the commute, so hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did pretty much. And thankfully the speedometer is actually behaving right now, which is good, and I haven't even really done anything to it. Still goes off and on here and there, but not as bad. At least I was able to actually make it home with the lights still on, which is good, huh? But yeah, I'll go over some other tips and tricks and stuff like that, and like I said, I'll take this bike on other trails and so forth. But this is pretty much the end of the commute, and hopefully you enjoyed the video as much as I did.